Okay, folks, this is a tutorial that I'm a little bit late to posting, but only because of software issues. Um, but this is a tutorial that I talked a little bit about in class, which was using alpha channels for materials. So using photographic images to help add elements into the scene that aren't actually modeled, but to get them to look as though they can blend into the scene a bit. All right, so what I have here is a basic light post that I found an image of, and I brought it into Photoshop. And what I want to do here is just drop out the background. So I chose an image that would be pretty easy. This is just on a white background, so I can just take my magic wand tool, select the background. I can also zoom in a little bit and select elements that are going to be hitting shift. Select other elements that need to be deleted as well. So some of those negative spaces that you may need to go in and correct. You want to try to drop this out. So I'm just going to do this kind of quick, but to improve your projects, I would say spend some time with this Photoshop file to get a nice image with the background totally dropped out. Okay, so selected the background. I'm just going to select the inverse. I'm going to copy this, open up a new window with a transparent background, alright, and hit OK, paste it on here. Okay, so now I have this image on a transparent background. And what I'm going to do quickly just to check it out is I'm going to go and add a new layer. And then I've got this bright green color that I've chosen. And I'm going to use the paint bucket just to drop this in here. And then I'm going to rotate my layers on one on top of the next so I can see this thing on a, background, so I can see any of the issues that it may have. There's a little bit of lightness on the edges which may show up a little bit, but we can check that out. So if there is anything that you see that's going to be really apparent, you can just scrub it out, delete it, darken it, whatever you need to do to make this more accurate kind of image. It's not so bad though. I think this will work for what we need. Okay, so I'm going to delete this layer, okay, and save this as a Photoshop file. So save as, make sure it's a PSD Photoshop file. Call this light post, and I'll just save that. Okay, save it. All right, got that. Okay, now I've got this scene which I've just created a little sort of outdoor curb setting, some lighting, not too much going on, basic kind of scene. Now I'll put this light post into. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a plane, and what I found is that the orientation of the plane, it works out the best if you make it Z minus. For some reason, that just seems to work out pretty well. So rotate this kind of in my scene a little bit. I don't need it to be this enormous, so let's make the height like 200, and the width is probably only going to need to be maybe 50. Maybe bigger than that. Let's try 100. And let's raise it up, kind of place it where we want it in the scene. And then, you're going to want to kind of try to orient it a little bit towards the camera. So something like that is pretty good. So there, that's the place setting that we want the photo of the lamppost to go on. So next, create a new material. Let's turn off specular. Let's go to color, load the image of the lamppost. This one, I believe, light post, I think is what I called it. Okay, yes, all right. That looks fine. You can just go to copy the channel, and then in alpha, turn alpha on. Paste the channel. Alright, so we'll paste that same path in there. You want image alpha selected, and I turn off soft and then invert so it changes so you can see the image of what it's going to look like here. Alright, and then what you can do is you can grab this and just drag it right onto here. And you might need to scale a little bit to get the proportions to be more correct. That looks pretty good. So let's see what we have here. Okay, not too bad. Notice that it has 10 taken the image, and it's a little bit hovering above here, but it's taking the image and it's blocked out the background, and then it's also, the light is treating this as an object and casting a shadow of that object in the scene, which is pretty nice. So it's helpful if the light is a bit more in line with it. If you imagine that sort of like just a silhouette, if it's to the side, it's not going to give as much of a dimensional image. But this isn't too bad. I'm just here now. What I'm going to do is just play around and kind of drop this into the object a little bit more. Here you can see it kind of disappearing there. I might back it up just a bit and bring it down. There we go. So it's kind of embedded in the scene a little bit there. Let's see how that looks. That's a little bit better. It seems like the shadow's catching a little bit more. It's a little bit more dramatic right up to that sort of edge. So yeah, so that, with some playing around with some of the lighting, I think is going to be helpful to really make this a much more believable kind of scene. I might just bring this up a little bit more just to see what happens there and see how that renders out. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Gives us that little bit of shadow there, makes this scene a little bit more believable. But, so you kind of have to play around, match the scene, the angle with the angle of your object. Play around to get the lighting just right. And then when you do that, I think you can get a fairly realistic rendering of your scene. So just that alone is going to be helpful, hopefully, to you to make these objects seem like they work into the objects that you're rendering. And hopefully this works out for you.